I didn't get anywhere until I started using heat and cutting stuff. Is this was the old bearing race. And again, this is how I got it off there. I ground it and then hit it with a chisel. It cracked and started spinning. See guys, this is what happens. I start working on stuff and I'm using my iPad for other things. I was just using it to watch the football game, playoff football game. Titans destroyed the Ravens. How about that? You know, I'm a huge Buffalo Bills fan. It was a disappointing end to our season. But hey, I mean, at least we're not the Ravens. Shit. That sucks for them. They got smoked at home. Anyway, working on this. So this is my drive shaft. And what I'm doing is replacing the U-joints here. I've already got this first clip out before I remembered to start filming a video. And when I'm doing this tomorrow, because I'm not going to finish this tonight, it's about 6:30. It's getting a little dark. But I got the rear part, and I'm going to finish this part tonight. So I have to replace the U-joints here, and see here, and down. Use the other light on, or use the light here on this other end. So I got to replace that one too. I'm going to do that tonight. Tonight's my night off of work, so I'm going to get this finished, and then tomorrow morning I will put it back on the vehicle, and I actually have to take off the front part of the drive shaft, replace another U-joint, and what is the carrier bearing. Now the carrier bearing is what's actually visibly worn. You can see the rubber O-ring, grommet, gasket, whatever the hell it is. It's rotted and eaten away, and I'll show it to you tomorrow when I get under there and when I take it all apart, because I got a new one. I'm going to put that new one in there. But right now, again, just working on this part. So I'll take some other videos tomorrow, mash them together with this one, and upload the whole thing at once. This is something I've been working on or putting off for a while. And actually, you know, I think I might title this video "The Importance of Not Being Lazy," because I've had these U-joints for over a month. And I mean, I've probably just been destroying my drivetrain, you know, smacking my drive shaft around all underneath there. And it's making clunks when I put it into drive, which is a symptom of bad U-joints. And it almost feels like it's binding every once in a while. And if it, you know, I'll show you that carrier bearing. And this drive shaft is moving around in there, you can see it. So, and I have to do some motor mounts soon, but I'm having problems sourcing them on the island. So I just want to show this before I work any further, what I'm going to do again. So I have to take out, see that? Gross, that fell out of the drive shaft. Oh, maybe that's from something I just did. Maybe I stuck it in the dirt on accident. Anyway, so you can see here, take these little clips right here, needle nose them, and if you're lucky, they'll come right out. If not, you got to use sort of like a screwdriver and sort of pry them out, or at least work them around and bust the rust off them a little bit. And again, it's so annoying to do this by myself. Oh, there goes one, right? So now I got these out, and what I have to do is get a socket, or I have this ball peen hammer. This might be the right size. Put it in there, bang these out, put in some new ones. Maybe I'll get back to you with a video as I'm doing that. But since I'm doing this by myself, it's all dark. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just see the finished result. We'll see. All right. Just taking a quick little time out. I just did a little victory dance. I'm simultaneously very, very happy and extremely pissed off. Honestly, I took off the U-joints and they were really fine. There was nothing wrong with them. What was really messed up was my carrier bearing. Here's the piece right here. This is the race from the old bearing. And you can see I got a grind on and was able to crack it with a chisel and finally got it off. One other thing I wanted to add about this job is this part right here Now, I watched multiple YouTube videos and forum posts, read multiple forum posts, and a bunch of them said, you know, just cut it off. Not one of them mentioned that there's like a collar that holds this thing on. So this, I was trying to cut through the collar. Thankfully, I didn't destroy it too much, but it fits right here inside this bearing. Dope! So for anyone else, and this fits on the drive shaft, obviously, and it goes like this. Goes like this towards the front. So anyone else doing this job, don't cut this piece. Maybe if you buy a more expensive carrier bearing, this piece comes with it, but mine did not include that. And again, not a single YouTube video or forum post or directions, nothing mentioned that particular piece and to save it. So learn from my mistakes. See that right there? Testament to the bear that this job was. The absolute monstrosity. A single ball bearing in the road from the destroyed old bearing. Oh. And, you know, this thing has been a pain in my ass. And like all ghosts and demons and vampires and beasts, it had to be purified by the flames, and only then would that fucker go on there and come off. Son of a bitch. I've spent 2 miserable days in the rain trying to get this thing. Look at all this junk down here from the old bearing. Look at all these tools. Look at all this mess. Okay. So, but here it is. It's not torqued down yet, but here is our new carrier bearing installed. And I just wanted to say, you know, some of these YouTube videos and all this shit that I've been watching and reading, like I said, they never mention that collar. Number 2, no one, there's the collar I'm talking about right there. So no one ever mentioned to save this collar. And it was only after watching one video where I saw it back on there, you know, rusty, back on after the guy's new job, that I stopped and thought, holy shit, maybe I need that. So again, this was a no instructions, no. If it was in other videos, I wasn't paying attention. So this collar, this will tap out. Again, it was a bitch to get that thing off, and it took heat. You could see how I was grinding it and wasn't even doing anything. And behind that is this. This was the old bearing race. And again, this is how I got it off there. I ground it and then hit it with a chisel. It cracked and started spinning. So there's a couple videos out there in the comment section. People say, how come no one shows it getting this piece off? Well, I'll tell you what. I needed 2 extra hands, and you know, just to do it, much less film it. I mean, it's really tough. But I'm explaining to you now how I did it. So this was on there. It was behind that thing. This bearing was off. I started grinding both of them, obviously, but then again, I saw that I should save this piece right here from a video. So I stopped grinding that one and applied heat and beat the shit out of it, and eventually it popped off. This one popped off easy. The inside one, this one, did not come off easy at all. Even after applying a lot of heat, beating on it, it took me grinding it almost down. And be careful, you know, not to grind into your drive shaft. And then another tip. I see a lot of videos saying, oh, it's no problem, you know, just use the old bearing and beat it in. Well, here's what I have left of the old bearing. So I had this in here and I was beating this in like this. So I tried this with two different ways. I tried it with the collar in first, and the collar worked for a little ways, but then when you get to this spot, it was actually stopping it from going any further. So then I used this bearing on the inside, and it seemed like it was jamming up. It got stuck in there, and it was jamming up against the new bearing. I was getting pissed that I may have damaged my new bearing putting it on there. We'll see. You know, I think that I don't want to do this job again, but if I had to do it again, it seemed like it would be easier because I know what I'm doing now. I've never had to do a carrier bearing in the middle before. A lot different from the U-joints that I've done on my previous Jeep. And here's my U-joints in my drive shaft. We're ready to go here. We got to get my drive shaft put back on. You can see I spray paint marked it. Some people probably laugh at that, but you know, people always say, oh, just punch a hole, or you know, make a mark with a chisel and you line it back up. Well, when I tried that on my Jeep, then I got grease in my punk, you know, in my mark, and lining everything back up was a bitch. This is nice and highly visible. And do I care that I have paint on my drive shaft? No. If I really did, I'd take a wire brush to it. Who's under my bus looking at that? Okay, so victory, finally. A couple days later, we get it done just like we always do. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer because of circumstances or tools. Again, if I would have had a grinder here, and I was just sort of being lazy yesterday, I could have hooked my inverter up to my car battery and started my car up, but it was raining. And I was out here in the rain a couple times trying to just beat it off and use brute force, and I'll tell you what, that was stupid. Don't use just brute force. Use a little bit of heat, that helps. Don't use too much. You don't want to, you know, start destroying shit. But again, the purifying flames of the torch worked again for me this time to get it on and off, because getting that carrier bearing back onto where it's supposed to be, and that collar as well, was annoying. Oh, one final tip about the collar. I put one hammer on one side and then tapped it in on the other side. When I was trying to use like a thing that went all the way around, it just wasn't going in for whatever reason, maybe because I had previously ground it, whatever. So here, these are my tips and my information about this particular job. Isn't that fun? All right, so it's all over but the crying. Man, it's dark. I'm not gonna crawl back under there and show you guys, but believe me, it's done, right? It's finished. And so let me give you my number one tip. Use heat. Use a lot of heat. I didn't get anywhere until I started using heat and cutting stuff. Step two, if you're doing this yourself, cut stuff, right? Don't cut that little bearing cap cup thing that goes back on there. Only cut the race from the old bearing. And I'm about to take it for a test drive and edit this video, upload it, and I'll get back to you guys tomorrow. If I never make another video, that means I crashed and everything exploded and I walked away. All right, aloha.